Hello, hello. Is this thing on? I feel like it's been forever since I've seen you guys, but anyways, I know this has been a long time coming, and I know I promised this LP would be coming about 7, 8 months ago, but unfortunately that just wasn't the case. A lot of things got in the way, trying to find time for myself to get a job and start working and whatever. But needless to say, here it is, maybe a little bit late, but nonetheless, here we are, ready to take on our next challenge of no Pokecenters, no pokemarts. Now, a lot of you who have not already seen my previous other LPs, what exactly this means is no Pokemon centers in the sense that not only can you not use them, you cannot use your mom heal, you cannot use the bed, you cannot use the PC to heal, you cannot use any sort of in-game healing tactic other than items. However, in order to add an additional element to this, I'm also going to be restricting myself from being able to purchase any items. And so in essence, you cannot, we won't be allowed to buy anything. The only things we're allowed to use are the items that we find in the wild and the items that people give to us. This also applies to Pokemon, so you can't buy a Pokemon from the game corner, which I'm not sure if that applies for Sapphire as much, but nevertheless, we also can't pay to enter the Safari Zone because that would involve spending money. So the only amount of money that we're allowed to spend is something that is necessary to advance the plot. Other than that, no purchasing anything in order to help us in our travels. Anyways, some of you might know me, but anyways, my name here will be Andrew for this run. We're just gonna stick with that and run from there. As far as the nicknaming scheme for the Pokemon goes, I still have yet to decide that, but let's get on with this trip. Let's get on with this adventure, figure out what exactly we want to do. So, our adventure's about to unfold, blah 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 blah, a lot of crap that you guys don't need to listen to. Now, in order to, what I wanted to do for this run, really, was remove too much use of the speed up button. I found that it kind of distracted away from some of the LP, and just for Malk's purposes, we're going to save in the truck. That's what Malk always does, so there you go. Shout out to you, bro. Inside the truck, save state. Boom. Only time you get to do that all game long, so may as well take advantage of that. Anyways, getting back to this run, I have already completed two entire LPs of Pokemon Yellow and Pokemon Crystal, and Sapphire is just the next installment. Now, some of you may be wondering, why not Emerald? Because you've been sticking with the third game in the series, and part of the reason I choose Sapphire over Emerald is just because of the Pokemon available to you. Now, as far as Sapphire is concerned, you have access to Kyogre at level 45, I believe, whereas in Emerald, I have the ability to go catch a Rayquaza at level 70, and that just seems way too broken for me. I just feel like Emerald presents a slightly bigger challenge, and that's what we're gonna go with. Anyways, you definitely do not want to forget to pick up that potion there. If I don't pick up that potion, it's just tossing away useful free goods, so may as well keep sticking with the stuff that's free. So, I assume most of you have already played this game, given that it's pretty old, so I'm not really going to talk too much about the plot as far as those things go. I'm mostly going to talk about the things I'm doing, what exactly we're trying to figure out, and right now we have to go head over to our rival's house to figure out, I think it's May that we're meeting here, whereas if you're starting with a female character, you end up meeting Brendan, I guess his name is. So off we go up the stairs, and there is May sitting at her desk. The other reason I also chose Sapphire is because my friend Kote finished a no Pokecenters run of Ruby, so I wanted to be a little bit different from him. He's always been a big supporter of my runs and attempting to go even beyond his attempts at no Pokecenter runs, so we're gonna try and do one step further yet again and add the element of no Marts. He did complete his run successfully, so I'm sure that given a little bit of luck and a little bit of figuring things out, we should be able to get through this run just as well as we did the others. So off we go, and here we're about to pick up our starter. So there's Professor Birch, I believe his name is, being attacked by a Poochyena. It's a little dog. I figure if I were in his position, I would just kick the thing. But here we come to a very interesting situation. We have to decide on which starter Pokemon we're gonna pick out of these three. Now I thought long and hard about this, and what I ultimately decided upon was just the Pokemon that was gonna give me the most use for its buck. Now Trico is very offensive. It has decent attack and really high special attack for a starter. I guess not really high special attack, but for the most part, Trico is very offensive. He's also very fast in his final form and his other forms, for that matter. And for that reason, being able to go first is pretty valuable. However, Trico just didn't have as many benefits as I would have liked. It doesn't have the defense to take those hits and save me on healing items, and at the same time, there's a couple other grass types that seem to have a bit more of advantage than Trico offers. Next, I thought about Torchic, and what really kind of separated Torchic from the other two was simply the fact that against the first gym, the Rock-type gym, the only type advantage it has over it is when it evolves into Combuskin and gets Double Kick or some sort of fighting move, if I can recall it correctly. And for that reason, we're gonna stay away from Torchic. The other reason for that being, Hoenn is filled with water. There are so many surfing routes and so many trainers that use water-type Pokemon that having something fire-type just really doesn't provide much of a benefit. Given also the fact that I am playing Sapphire version, I also encountered Team Aqua, and that just adds more to the fact that I'm going to be facing a lot of water-type Pokemon. Fire's just not going to help. Next, and last but not least, we have Mudkip. In my opinion, this is just the route I had to go with. I know a lot of people like Mudkips, they like them Mudkips, and for us, we're going to be starting to like some Mudkips, so we're going to pick up this guy, and off we go to go face off with this Poochyena. Mudkip has both access to Surf and Earthquake, which are amazing in double battles, and for that reason, we just have to go with the water fish thing. I don't know exactly what Marshtomp or Mudkip is, but we're just gonna stick with this fishy water ground, whatever you want to call him is. So we save Professor Birch, finish up that battle very quickly. It's only a level 2 Poochyena, and I don't even have to worry about PP in that battle because you automatically get healed fully after that fight no matter what. So Mudkip has now been restored to full HP. He's now been restored to full PP. So we get our Mudkip. He also wants to ask if we want to nickname it, and I've already settled on this nickname a while ago. Dom, you wanted to be the starter from the very beginning of this run, and there you go. This is going to be known, our starter is going to be known as Marshtomp. There's no other name for this guy. I'm sure some people have other names, but they're just not a good fit. It's Marshtomp after all. So Professor Birch wants us to go May, and that's what we're going to head out to do. The other benefit of this game is you also get running shoes, which I don't have access to right now, but once I do, that's the other reason why the speed up button becomes negligible. So we just don't need to fight these guys. We can just skip through here, blah blah blah. But yeah, I want to refrain from using the speed up button as much as possible, just for the fact that it kind of takes away from the atmosphere and the music and all that good stuff that the game is built upon. So here we go, pick up our second potion, and we're about to head off to go face our rival in May. So here we are, Route 103, just going to pass through this grass, and luckily I'm kind of avoiding a lot of wild fights here, and just go with the devil, open my big fat mouth, and off we go, facing a wild fight. I don't need to fight this guy right now, so we're just going to run. And because I've picked Mudkip, May is going to start with Trico, obviously. Your quote-unquote rival for each gen always has to pick the weakness for your starters, so whatever, we get a slight disadvantage, but it really doesn't play too much of of a role in this battle, for instance, because Trico has no grass-type moves, and I have no water-type moves, so there's really no advantage, at least in the first fight. I don't need to really growl this thing, just because it's kind of pointless. I end up taking more damage as a result, and even though growl can be effective, I just don't want to waste potions at this point. Trico's doing a decent amount of damage there, and hopefully he doesn't get a crit. That's good. We take 5 damage, but we're slowly getting down there in HP. But look at that what a great timely crit. You get a crit right as you are about to finish him off anyway, so totally useless. Or is it? I don't know. I hate people that are like, crit didn't matter, blah blah blah. Whatever. Crit happens. Hacks is hacks, and that's how we should treat these battles. So Marshtomp gets to level 6, and I believe he's also pretty close to level 7 based on how things are going. I need to go check that in a second. And the other thing I do want to check is nature. That's another thing that was introduced in this generation, was the idea of natures, that Pokemon can affect their stats based on what nature they are. They're going to get a boost in one thing and a negative, or I guess a deduction in another stat. There's also neutral natures, and I don't quite remember what Lonely is. We're going to have to check up on that. But there you go. Marshtomp needs 17 experience to get to level 7. So I think before we go do anything else, we're going to try and get him to level 7. I do have 8 HP, so if I do get damaged a bit, maybe down to like 2 or something, you can use that as a convenient opportunity to use a potion to its fullest. So I am willing to take a couple hits here, and luckily we do fight a level 2 Zigzagoon, so it shouldn't be too big of an issue for us. I believe 2 tackles will take it out. That growl is going to make it 3, but nevertheless, here we go. And he wants to growl again. That's perfectly fine with me. I'm not too worried about using tackles at this point in the game because Marshtomp does need the experience, and he's going to get a ton of moves later on anyways. When he got to level 6, he also learned Mud Slap, so that's one thing to take note of. So off we go. Our Pokemon is still at full health, which is fine. Or, sorry, he's still slightly weakened, actually. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired, and that's one of the things that's distracting me from trying to remember everything that I want to say in this part here. This part is very important to me, and I just want to make sure that I clarify exactly what I'm doing at all times, just so you guys get a bigger breadth of knowledge into why what's such a challenge is really that hard. A lot of people would think, well, you know, there's ways of getting around it, but you just have to be aware at all times of your resources, what's available to you, and making the most of everything that the game has to offer you for a free price, or for a lack of price, I guess I should say. Nevertheless, May is going to give us our free 5 Pokeballs. We also get a Pokedex, and I'm very much going to appreciate all that free stuff. I think we finally get access to the running shoes here, which the running shoes essentially make you go faster if you hold B. At the same time, if you pass a trainer fight in this generation while you're running, at least for a trainer that moves around and whatnot, they're going to draw you into the battle no matter what. So you have to either walk by or wait for them to turn their head. But if you're running by a trainer that rotates, they will always battle you. Assuming you're not cheating or using Game Shark or whatever. But there we go. We get access to the running shoes. We can now run faster. So look at us go. Whoa! And that was a huge mechanic change in this generation, which I'm sure a lot of people were thankful for finally. So, now that I do have Mudkip to level 7, I do feel confident in taking on the first necessary trainer fight in this game, other than our rival. There's one trainer that completely blocks our path to get to the next city, so we will have to take him on. And even though it's kind of a waste, I feel like I should use a potion. It will heal me 14 HP, which is kind of okay. I'm not too worried about healing items. We will get a ton later, and we'll be able to work around things. So there we go. Mudkip is now healed, and we have to go fight this guy here. I don't think there's any enemies up here, no. So, here we go. This guy has a level 5 Zigzagoon, I believe, so he has a bit of a challenge. Also for the fact that he does use Growl and Tail Whip and all these stupid stat modifiers that just kind of get in the way. So hopefully we can get a little lucky with Mudkip and finish off this guy relatively quick without him dropping too many stats on us. So there you go, he uses Tail Whip, our defense falls, so we're going to be taking a bit of extra damage, but hopefully that won't bother us too much. Apparently Tail Whip doubles as gaining speed, or winning the speed tie. Not really, I'm just kidding about that, but that's the way it seems sometimes. He wants to use Tail Whip 3 times, hopefully I can win this last speed tie and we won't have to worry about anything. And apparently he just wants to keep lowering my defense, which I'm perfectly fine with. Although it just means that I essentially healed Mudkip for no reason. He didn't even attack me, so that's the way the AI works sometimes, and we just gain a little bit extra experience. I believe this guy has a Pokemon, so we're just going to avoid him for now. We could potentially come back and kill him with weaker pokes later, but for now we're just going to dodge him and continue on with our adventure. I'm going to try and limit the length of these parts, just so that they don't get too boring or too drawn out. So we're going to aim for about 20 minutes per part, if possible. There will be exceptions in some cases where it might be a little less, might be a little more, but for the most part we're going to aim for around 20 minutes apart, which I believe is pretty manageable. Anyways, this is our first instance of a trainer that turns back and forth. I believe she can only turn in these 2 directions, so the easiest way of getting past her is to just go around her like that. We encounter a wild fight, which is whatever, we can just run from it anyways. But I believe I do want to drop in front of her this way, at least if we can. So there we go, dodged her, and we do get to pick up an extra potion here. So now we've got 2, since we did already use one, and we also have some orange berries that we did pick up about 30 seconds ago. We aren't going to capture this Lotad because we don't really need it, but it's a pretty decent poke anyways. The problem is he just doesn't learn the right moves. So, I really did not want to fight this trainer. That could hurt us. But unfortunately, sometimes things just happen. She just juked us out, and this is actually going to be pretty annoying just for the fact that we don't have any other Pokemon to switch to. So I can hopefully kill this thing pretty quick and have it not use any stat reducers or anything on me before we face her next poke. And there we go, we get some crit, we already lose a little bit extra HP, we miss a tackle, that really blows, and we get our attack lowered. So, so far, things not going our way in this fight here, because she does have a second Pokemon. I believe it's the second Zigzagoon, but whatever. We do get a little bit of extra experience, and we get an extra level out of that, so hopefully that will help us with this next Zigzagoon. So, just keep on spamming tackles until we get in the clear. I believe her crits will only do 6 damage to me, so I should be okay. Maybe we can get a timely crit here. Come on, timely crit. No dice. So, there we go. We are 20 HP below max HP, so that kind of worked out. So I'll be able to heal the full and use a potion very effectively. So, I guess that kind of works out okay. May as well drop my potion now. And there we go. So, now we enter the next town, and the first thing we're going to want to do here is just head up to the gym where our dad is, talk to him quickly, and that's the only way to really advance the plot at this point. So, here we go, skip through these lines, blah blah blah. He's going to bring Wally in, and Wally's going to teach us how to catch a Pokemon, which apparently we don't know how to do yet because we haven't caught anything. But most of you who have played the game or any of the games will know that there's always someone who teaches you how to catch a Pokemon, even though for the most part anyone who's played through the Pokemon series will already know how to catch a Pokemon. So Wally is apparently incredibly lucky. He just walks into the grass and finds a Pokemon with a 4% chance of showing up. He just walks in the grass, and boom, there's a Ralts, you know, because nothing like that happens to any of us, right? And the other thing Wally gets to do is just tackle this guy, draw his Pokemon back in, and throw a Pokeball. I've never seen myself or anyone else be able to just take your Pokemon out, throw yourself into battle, and throw a Pokeball. But here we go. He just calls his Pokemon back, sends out himself, throws his Pokeball, and catches the Ralts. And I'm just kind of rambling on here, which I don't really want to do. It's basically because I'm just overly tired. But I think right after this fight, and the next time we're able to regain access to our controls, that's probably where we're going to end off this part. So hopefully you guys are in store for quite the adventure coming up. I'm sure there's going to be some pretty dicey things at times, and for the most part we're going to have to be very careful about what we want to do. But Wally's caught his Pokemon, we've got our starter, and we're getting set for some pretty high-flying action coming up. So anyways, folks, it's been great, and I hope to see you guys next time. Peace.